Summary: after returning to the Flower Fruit Mountain, Sun Wukong organized the monkeys and the Qixi army on star caves into a unified force, appointing leaders of various ranks and acquiring a diverse array of weapons through thievery. Subsequently, he stormed into the Dragon Palace in the Eastern Sea, engaging the Dragon King in a confrontation that ultimately forced the Dragon King to present the fixed sea god needle as an offering. Jade Emperor received a series of imperial edicts reporting the monkey's rebellious activities in the mortal realm, describing him as audacious and reckless. As a result, Jade Emperor dispatched the celestial envoy, Tai Bai Jin Xing, to the Flower Fruit Mountain to assess the situation. As the story goes, the Monkey King stormed into the water-dirty cave and noticed that the Demon King seemed to be underestimating him. Without exchanging words, he leaped forward and struck with a blow to the face. The Demon King, taken by surprise, was swiftly struck in the ribs by the Monkey King's attack, then bumped in the groin. Frustrated, he grabbed a large steel blade and swung it towards the Monkey King's head. The Monkey King quickly evaded, and the steel blade swung empty. The Monkey King plucked a strand of hair, chewed it into pieces in his mouth. Then he spat towards the sky and shouted, "Transform!" Immediately, 300 or 200 small monkeys emerged and surrounded the Demon King. This was called the body outside body technique. After mastering the Tao, the Monkey King had 84,000 hairs on his body, each capable of transformation. He could transform into anything he wanted. These little monkeys clung to the Demon King, hugging and tugging, diving between his legs, moving their feet, poking his eyes, pinching his nose, creating a scene of lively and intense activity. Taking advantage of the opportunity, the Monkey King snatched the sword and with a sharp crack sound, he split the Demon King's head into two halves. The Monkey King led the group of monkeys into the cave and slaughtered all the little demons and spirits, leaving not a single one alive. The Monkey King then ordered to set the cave on fire, reducing the water-dirty cave to ashes. Finally, the Monkey King shook his fur, gathering the group of monkeys, and returned to the Water Curtain Cave. Inside the Water Curtain Cave, the group of monkeys joyfully arranged food and fruits to celebrate and congratulate the Monkey King. After drinking the wine, the Monkey King vividly boasted about his experiences and journey of learning the Tao. He then exclaimed, "My little ones, what's even more delightful is that I now have a family name for our lineage. It's called Sun Wukong." The group of monkeys cheered in excitement, shouting, "If the great king is called Sun, then we'll be second son, third son, tiny son, little son, one family son, one nest son." Each monkey held up bowls and platters, offering coconut wine, grape wine, fresh flowers, and fruits to praise the Monkey King. The scene was filled with joy and familial harmony. From then on, the Monkey King led the monkeys to cut bamboo for flags, carve wood for weapons, set up camps, and practice martial arts. As time went by, the Monkey King began to sense that something was not quite right. He pondered, "We've been practicing and playing around here. If we attract the attention of human kings or even animal kings, they might suspect us of raising an army for rebellion. What should we do? We need to acquire some sharp swords and weapons to be prepared. Where can we find them? 4 elder monkeys stepped forward and suggested. To the east lies a country called Chole. There must be weapons in the city. Why not go and take a look, Your Majesty? The Monkey King was filled with joy and leaped down from his throne. He said to the other monkeys, "My little ones, you play around for a while. I'll go fetch those weapons right away." The Monkey King leaped onto his somersault cloud, and in the blink of an eye, he arrived above the city. He saw bustling streets and markets, thousands of households and numerous doors. The place was filled with people coming and going, creating a lively and bustling scene. With a swift thought, the Monkey King chanted an incantation and blew a breath towards the ground below. Immediately, a gust of black wind arose, carrying sand and stones in its wake. The streets and markets were in chaos, causing everyone to hide indoors and shut their doors. With that, the Monkey King descended from the clouds and headed straight for the armory. Inside were countless knives, spears, swords, halberds, bows, crossbows, tridents, and javelins, everything imaginable. The Monkey King was delighted, touching this and that, wishing he could sprout 1,000 hands. Remembering his external transformation ability, he quickly plucked a hair, chewed it to a pulp with his teeth, recited an incantation, and shouted, "Transform!" Hundreds of small monkeys appeared, some carrying spears, others lifting halberds, the strong ones carrying 5 or 7 pieces, and the weaker ones carrying 2 or 3. They quickly moved the weapons out in a well-organized manner. The Monkey King used his magic to lead the group of monkeys back to the Flower Fruit Mountain. The monkeys of Flower Fruit Mountain were eagerly waiting for the Monkey King when suddenly they heard a gust of wind. From the sky, there came an endless and densely packed crowd of monster monkeys, causing the monkeys below to panic and scatter while crying out in fear. The Monkey King descended from the clouds, shook his body, and retracted his hair, then piled up the weapons in front of the mountain. He then shouted loudly, "My children, come and collect the weapons." The monkeys timidly came out, only to find the Monkey King standing there alone. The Monkey King recounted what had happened, and the monkeys finally snapped out of their daze. They rushed forward to grab swords and seize spears, creating a chaotic scene with loud shouting and clamor. The next day, the Monkey King gathered the monkeys and organized them into formations, totaling more than 47,000. The 72 cave-dwelling monsters of the mountain were all alarmed and came forward, including wolves, worms, tigers, leopards, bears, oxen, lions, and elephants. They all paid their respects to the Monkey King, pledging their allegiance and promising to pay tribute. All the monkeys were adept at using the 18 types of weapons, except for Sun Wukong's large blade, which he couldn't wield comfortably. Once again, the 4 elder monkeys made a suggestion, saying, "Underneath the iron bridge in our territory lies a direct passage to the East Sea Dragon Palace. If Your Majesty goes down there and borrows a weapon from the old Dragon King, there's no need to worry about not finding a suitable one." The Monkey King was delighted and exclaimed, "Great idea." He chanted an incantation, then used the water-repelling spell to dive into the water, heading straight for the depths of the Eastern Ocean. Halfway there, he encountered a sea patrol demon blocking his way. The demon asked, "Who are you? And where do you come from? Speak clearly." Wukong replied, "I am Sun Wukong, the sage of the Flower Fruit Mountain. I'm a neighbor of your old dragon king. How come you don't recognize me?" The demon quickly went to report, and shortly after, East Sea Dragon King Guan appeared with his dragon sons, dragon grandchildren, shrimp soldiers, and crab generals to welcome him. Wukong met with the Dragon King in the palace and explained his purpose. The old Dragon King didn't dare to refuse and ordered his subordinates to fetch the weapons. They brought out a trident with 9 prongs. Wukong took it in his hand, swung it a couple of times, shook his head, and said, "Too light, too light." Then they brought out a halberd called the Square Heaven Halberd, weighing 7,200 catties. Wukong took it, made a couple of moves, but still shook his head, saying, "Too light, too light." Old Dragon King was getting worried and said, "Honored immortal, this is the heaviest weapon in my palace. I don't have any other weapon." Not trusting, Wukong said, "King of dragons, this immortal is extraordinary. For the past few days, our divine treasure iron that lies at the bottom of the Tianhe River has been emitting auspicious radiance. Shouldn't it be brought out to greet such a holy being?" The Dragon King said, "That's a calibration stone that great you used to measure the depths of rivers and seas during his water control. It's a piece of divine iron. But what use does he have for it?" The Dragon Lady added, "Never mind its use or not. Just give it to him and send him away." The Dragon King told Sun Wukong that he should go with him to see the divine iron because no one else could lift it. Arriving at the heart of the sea, they saw countless beams of golden light radiating from the divine iron. Wukong lifted his clothes and approached, gently touching it. It was an iron pillar, about as thick as a large bowl, and over 20 feet long. The Dragon King said, "This divine iron weighs 13,500 catties." Wukong used both hands to lift it and said, "It's heavy enough, but it's too thick and too long. It would be more convenient if it were shorter and thinner." With a sudden sound, the iron pillar shortened by a few feet and became thinner. Startled and delighted, Wukong exclaimed, "Thinner, even thinner." After his call, the pillar indeed became slightly thinner. Wukong danced with excitement, repeatedly exclaiming, "Treasure, treasure, you're the one." Holding it in his hand and examining it closely, Wukong saw that at both ends were 2 golden rings, with a middle section made of black iron. On top of it was an inscription that read, "Rui Jingu Bang." Wukong danced and twirled the Rui Jingu Bang all the way back to the Crystal Palace, leaving the tortoises, turtles, and crabs completely stunned and speechless. Wukong said to the Dragon King, "It's not a bother to visit two hosts. Could my kind neighbor please provide me with another set of armor?" The Dragon King had no spare armor. He kept declining and suggested that Wukong should go somewhere else to borrow them. Wukong swung his golden cudgel and said, "If you really don't have any, then let's try this." The Dragon King got flustered and exclaimed, "Don't use your weapon. Don't use your weapon. Let me check if there's anything in the South Sea or the West Sea." The Dragon King ordered the Turtle General to quickly beat the drums and ring the bells to summon the Dragon Kings of the South Sea, Ao Kin, the North Sea, Ao Shan, and the West Sea, Ao Ran. In a short while, the 3 Dragon Kings arrived. The Dragon King introduced Wukong to them and explained the situation. The kings were furious and exclaimed, "A cheeky monkey! We'll capture him." They were about to approach Wukong to attack. The old Dragon King hastily intervened. "Absolutely not. That piece of iron, even a slight touch could fracture a rib. A graze could tear the skin, and a direct impact would be fatal." Wukong stood by, secretly chuckling to himself. Helpless, the Dragon King of the Western Sea brought forth a suit of golden armor adorned with locks. The Dragon King of the Southern Sea presented a phoenix-feathered purple crown, and the Dragon King of the Northern Sea contributed a pair of lotus silk cloud walking shoes. Monkey King donned each item and, wearing them with a smirk, addressed the Dragon Kings, saying, "Thanks a lot, my friends." Wielding the Rui Jingu Bang, the magical staff, Monkey King danced his way onward. The 4 Sea Dragon Kings finally let out a sigh of relief and discussed submitting a report to the Heavenly Court. As Wukong leaped out of the sea, his body was completely dry and gleaming with gold. The monkeys hiding on the bridge all kneeled down, exclaiming, "Great King, how mighty you are." With a radiant smile on his face, Wukong placed the iron rod upright on the ground. The monkeys, unaware of its weight, rushed forward to grab the treasure, much like dragonflies trying to move an iron pillar. The monkeys bit their fingers and stuck out their tongues one by one, exclaiming, "Oh my goodness, it's so heavy. How did you manage to bring it back?" Wukong chuckled and said, "Everything has its rightful owner. Watch as I demonstrate my magical powers and open your eyes." The Monkey King held the iron staff in his hand and chanted, "Small, small, small." The staff shrank and shrank until it transformed into a delicate embroidery needle. Monkey King tucked the needle into his ear, and the monkeys were both amazed and delighted. They cried out in excitement, "Change again, change again." Using his magical powers, Wukong bent his waist and exclaimed, "Grow!" In an instant, the Monkey King shot up to a height of 10,000 yen, his head towering like Mount Tai, his waist resembling towering peaks, his eyes shining like bronze bells, and his mouth gaping like a blood basin. And as for the staff, it reached up to the 33rd heaven and down to the 18th level of hell. The 72 cave demon kings, one by one, were trembling with fear, their souls scattering, and they kept kowtowing incessantly. With the golden hooped rod in his possession, Sun Wukong was as formidable as a tiger with wings. Every day, he would soar through the clouds and mist, roaming freely across the 4 seas. He traveled far and wide, seeking out heroes from all corners of the world, and forged friendships with 7 powerful demon kings: Bull Demon King, Dragon Demon King, Rock Demon King, and others. One day, while intoxicated and deep in slumber, Sun Wukong dreamed of the Yama, the judge of the underworld. The judge informed him, "You are a stone monkey born from heaven. You've lived for 342 years, and now it's time for you to die." Without any hesitation, Wukong snatched the judge's brush and swiftly struck out his own name on the Book of Life and Death, He then proceeded to cross out any names related to monkeys or simian creatures. He tossed the book back to the judge and declared, "Consider it settled now. I won't heed your authority anymore." With that, he departed in a triumphant manner. The enraged judge reported the incident to the 10th underworld monarch, who decided to report the matter to the heavens. Upon receiving the reports, the Jade Emperor coincidentally received a memorial from the East Sea Dragon King as well. After reading the memorials, the Jade Emperor asked the heavenly officials, "Where did this demon monkey come from? He's so audacious." The 1,000-mile eye and the wind listening ear said, "Your Majesty, how could you forget? This is the stone monkey who possessed the ability to see through 1,000 miles and hear on the wind. It's the same one from 300 years ago." The Jade Emperor suddenly realized. The Jade Emperor considered sending someone to capture the monkey, but Tai Bai Jin Xing suggested, since this monkey has already achieved immortal status and possesses the talent to subdue dragons, why not summon him and appoint him to a minor official position? This way, we can keep an eye on him and manage his behavior. The Jade Emperor agreed and decided to send Tai Bai Jin Xing to offer Monkey King a position in the heavenly court and bring him under control. Tai Bai Jin Xing arrived at the Water Curtain Cave to deliver the decree of the Jade Emperor. The news was gradually relayed to the Monkey King within the cave by layers of little monkeys. Feeling a bit bored, Sun Wukong was considering going for a stroll in the heavens when he came out to meet the heavenly marshal, Tai Bai Jin Xing. Upon hearing Tai Bai Jin Xing's intentions, Sun Wukong instructed the monkeys to keep a close watch over the mountain stronghold and then followed Tai Bai Jin Xing as they flew towards the celestial realm. Arriving at the southern heaven gate, they saw a purple mist surrounding it. There were 10 great heavenly generals guarding the gate, along with dozens of golden armored divine beings, each exuding an imposing presence. Arriving outside the Hall of Spiritual Radiance, the Jade Emperor was seated on high. Tai Bai Jin Xing stepped forward and began reporting, while Sun Wukong listened attentively. The Jade Emperor spoke up, asking, "Which one is the demon turned immortal?" Only then did Sun Wukong bow and reply, "I am, Your Majesty." The celestial ministers were shocked and horrified, exclaiming, "What audacity! This is outrageous. He must be punished. He must be punished." The Jade Emperor said, "Sun Wukong is new to the heavenly court and is not familiar with court etiquette. He is forgiven." Sun Wukong then performed a formal bow. The Jade Emperor ordered his officials to check the records and found that there was a vacancy for a horse taming official. He then issued an edict, saying, "Let him be appointed as horse breeder." Monkey King received the title and happily followed the wood deity to the imperial stable to take up his post as horse breeder. To learn how Monkey King performs in his new role as horse breeder, please read the next installment.